Hello and welcome to the Shai Creative. I'm Denver Shai, and today I'm going to share with you some anatomy books, some figure drawing books that I think are absolutely excellent and super helpful if you want to learn to draw the figure. Now, I know there are lots of tips and ideas that people can give you for drawing and drawing quickly, learning something really fast and just getting that shortcut so that you know how to draw really well. However, I don't think there is such a thing. I really do not believe that you can learn to draw super fast and in a way that takes less time. And the reason being is because you've just got to put in the pencil time. You've got to put in the work and practice and refine your skills so that you can really develop that mind-hand coordination and that it becomes second nature. It's not to say that you won't still make mistakes with your drawing, because you just will, because it's a lifelong process that you will always continue to learn, and you just have to put that time in. And if it's something you enjoy, as frustrating as it can be to learn to draw sometimes, or often I should say really, you still would want to do what it takes because you enjoy drawing. I draw the figure. I love drawing the male figure. It's just what inspires me. It's just what I enjoy drawing. I also make sure I take the time to learn from others who have gone before me and people presently who are excellent at their drawing. So I have some books here that I want to share with you, and I just think they are brilliant. The thing is, you can end up with a lot of books. Now, I've tried to promise myself not to get any more. In fact, one of these do not belong to me, but when I return it to the university library, I'm definitely going to buy it. And that is going to be the book that I start with. This one is Classic Human Anatomy. Oh my goodness, if there is one book that I had to... If I was only allowed to have one book, I might say this one, because there's one other which I will come to that I will share with you. This book is flipping fantastic. Valerie Winslow, she has put together such an incredible book. And it has everything from the bones to the tissue to muscle. She's got ways in here to help you to understand your proportions, for example. There is... Do you know what? There's so much in this book. And what's good about it is just for artists. You could go out and buy an anatomy book, but you need to make sure it's the right one, that it is for an artist, a figurative artist, because otherwise, if you just get a medical anatomy book, you don't really need to learn how. You don't need to learn how to the heart or the lymphatic system. That doesn't affect your drawing. You need a book that's going to show you the points on the body that affect what you draw. So like your collarbone, for example, those are the things that protrude and they're obvious and they're like landmarks for the body. And these are things that you really do need to learn and understand their placement and size, etc. Excellent. I would absolutely recommend this book. I was going to say above all of them, but like I say, there's one other that I love, and I will get there. I do love my books. I really do. And yeah, I could go on about this book forever, but I won't do that. I would just recommend it. Absolutely. My number one book. Right. Since I said that was my number one, in fact, no, I am going to save the second number one, if there's such a thing, to last, because it's incredible. Anyway, proportions. Now, let me give you an example of proportions. The one proportion that most, if not all artists, especially if you're learning to draw, often get wrong, it's the hands. Hands are bigger than you think. I do have a drawing. One day I'll have the courage to show it to you, because when I think about this drawing, I think, oh my God, look at that hand. It's like the size of a baby's hand on an adult. The hand is so flipping small. I don't know what it is with hands. It's almost like we don't quite realise just how big they are. Hands are big. They are big. This book I found to be, especially early in my drawing journey, this book I found to be so helpful to understand the size and proportions of things. So it will show you placements, it will give examples of, like, for your eyes, your hands, etc., proportions for the body, in terms of like length of the legs, chest width, for example, for men, where you place like your pecs, etc. Hands, like I said earlier, you know, the fingers, everything. It's a really good book. It's really simple, really easy. Don't think for a moment that because this seems like a really simple book that it doesn't have value. I really would recommend it. And sometimes when something eludes me, apart from my ultimate favourite book, of which there are two, I would often pull this one out just to double check something. So I would definitely recommend this. This is by Christopher Hart, and it's Figure It Out, Human Proportions. Definitely would recommend that one, actually. This book is called Freehand Figure Drawing for Illustrators. Very, very good. Now, I suppose in some ways all artists are illustrators. Some people are probably going to scream at that very idea and say, no, they're not. But, you know, we are all illustrating in some way or other. But for those of you who are doing comics, book covers, etc., this book is good. What I really like is it uses what it calls the glass mannequin to help you understand like the placement for the body, poses, stances. It also has its own way of showing you how to draw the head. The poses in this book are so dynamic, it's wonderful. And that's perhaps one of the things I really liked about this book. Especially for drawing the figure in perspective, like from running to walking to crouching. Brilliant. I would recommend this for anybody who wants to illustrate their own graphic novel, their comics, etc. This one is this is a heavy, thick book. It's got a lot going on inside, and I mean a lot going on. It's very good for helping you think about volume, think about perspective, thinking about drawing, like if you're going to draw the hair, for example, instead of trying to draw every strand, you're given an idea of how the hair lays rather than trying to draw every single strand. This book is very detailed. The illustrations are really good. It's just different. It's more about, I would say this book is very much more about perspective and volume for the body. It's good. It's unusual. I think it's unusual in some ways, but I also think it's very helpful, very useful, gives you an opportunity to think about things differently when it comes to drawing the figure. It's just really good. Form and pose. The very first book I bought to help me draw the figure is this one, Artistic Anatomy. Now, I have used this book to the point now my pages are falling out. Yeah, I have actually millered this book a bit. It's falling apart. So I'm going to be a bit careful. But it almost looks, I would probably say it almost looks more medical in the way that it's done. It's quite an old book. Now let me check something because I cannot remember. Now this book, to be fair, this book was actually, the copyright is for 1971. Now don't be fooled because the human body hasn't changed since 1971, so the information in here is still relevant. Some of it, there's a lot of text in the front, so it's can be text heavy at the beginning, but I learned did a lot of skull drawings from this book. It's got everything that you need for anatomy drawing, just like the other book, so very similar. So it's good. It is the first one I bought. It's just got a very old way of showing its drawings, but it was 1971, but you know, the material in here is still incredibly relevant. It's very good, and it's basically classic artistic anatomy. Quite old, but still relevant. This one is okay, now this one's about drawing and painting, but the reason I've included it in this is to help you think about perhaps using other tools and materials when it comes to drawing. I use Staedtler's carbon pencils because they create less shine. But this one has all sorts of tips and ideas. It actually does have a section on drawing the figure. Now, if you want to think about perhaps using other mediums, then this definitely gives you ways of thinking, new ways of thinking, like developing, like here it says developing ideas, so expanding on what you already do, what you already draw. Also using different materials, because I don't know about you, but I get one material and I'm like, yeah, that's it. I use this book to try and help me to think a little differently, which is why I've just started learning painting. It's a journey. That's all I'm going to say about that. But it's good because it does have information about drawing the human figure. But also, even if you're not into portraiture, even if you're not into figurative drawing, this book, I would still say it's a really good book. It's relevant because it will help you to think beyond what you already do and may give you some other ideas. So it really is about materials, like it says, materials and techniques for the contemporary artist. So that's the reason I've included this in here. It isn't solely about figure drawing, but it is about drawing techniques, improving your drawing skills, growing your drawing skills, finding new mediums with which to create your art. So that's the reason I've included this, because I still think it's very good. It's an excellent book, actually. I think Kate Wilson has done a fabulous job. This book is excellent. This one is Anatomy for Artists, a visual guide to the human form. So what it's really good for is showing you the different contours and different planes of the human figure. So this is brilliant for that. So what I like about this book is, let me show you something. It's clever in the way it's been put together. I really like that. It's amazing. So they do have their models and they overlay illustrations of the internal anatomy. So like your muscles and bones, etc. Very good. Highly recommended. Yeah, it's a really, really good guide for anatomy. Now, I know we often say, oh, you can only have one number one, if that makes sense. No, I've got two ones, two firsts, because this book, flipping love this book. Oh my God. Fantastic. The drawings in this book, oh my God, the line drawings are fabulous. It's a wonderful book and I love this. So if I had to, like I said earlier, if I had to grab one book, it would be, I was saying the other one, but this is my other one. I would stand there, I'd have to be like, eeny, meeny, miny, moe. So you know what? I'm not going to choose. I have two number one books. And so this is beautiful. Let me just double check. Sarah Simblett. When I say this book is brilliant and it's amazing and it's full of just those little tips and nuggets about the body that you don't always think about, and then when you read it you go, oh my God, that's brilliant. And it shows you, explains, guides you about how the body, how to draw the body, the things you need to remember, especially if you want to draw more accurately. If you're going to do abstract drawing, then it's probably not something that you really want to think about. You know, you're perhaps not so bothered about the corner of the mouth lining up with the eye, for example. That may not be something you want to think about. But if you really are interested in figurative drawing and doing it really well, this is fabulous. I tell you what, I remember getting this from the university library, and when I first saw this book, I was like, oh, and I had to get it. Her line drawing, my goodness, just incredible. Absolutely recommended. You would not go wrong by having this book. And I would say, do you know what? I would say between these two, you are set. This gives you proportions, gives you everything. This also does that, but in a slightly different way. Amazing book. Absolutely brilliant. So these two are my favourites. If the house was on fire, I am grabbing these two. That's all I'm going to say. So those are my book recommendations for artists. Do take the time to learn your skill. It does take time, it just does. But if it's something you enjoy doing, then you're not going to mind putting in the pencil time. When you see artists who can draw the figure really well, they didn't learn that overnight. That wasn't like 2 months of drawing. That was hours and hours. And there will still be things, if you speak to them, there will still be things where they say, do you know what, I am really terrible at drawing feet. Or, you know, for some reason, the legs always throw me. It's just how it is, but that's okay. If you really want to draw, if you really want to learn that craft, then find tools and materials to help you. There are so many courses out there. Ultimately, it is down to you to put in the time and effort to learn to draw. It's never going to be an overnight thing. And actually, why rush the journey? Why not take that time so that you can just develop that skill that you enjoy and that you love? I hope that these books that I've shared with you have given you some ideas of something that you might want to look at, you might want to try. If it's something you don't want to buy yet, maybe just go to your local library. If you're at uni or college, see if they have any of these books there. I know at our university, for example, that we can order a book and they'll buy it in for you. So do see if you can get hold of them. And if there's a book that you like, then get it. I got both of these from my university library, and then I ended up buying this one when I returned their copy. And as soon as this one goes back, then I'm going to buy my copy of this one. And if I didn't buy another art book, then I would absolutely be set. So I hope those books gave you some ideas, and I hope this video just inspired you to really consider putting in that pencil time, putting in that practice, because it is worth it. It is a skill you will always have and that you will enjoy and that you will use. So enjoy. So if you enjoyed this video, do like, do subscribe. I am Shai, and I will see you next week in the next video.